friends, welcome back to Brilliant Blue Reviews. My name is Heather from a brand new location. We have moved again. Yes, we just moved a year ago and now we have moved again to a new city, new state, new house. So this is I think I actually already did film one video here upstairs in my bedroom, but I was just holding the camera. So this is going to be my review of the newly released movie, The Sheep Detectives. Okay, you may not have heard of this one, but I've heard basically that this is a delightful film. And that is completely accurate. I actually totally loved this movie. I'm going to give it 5 stars. My son Ben and I went to it today on Mother's Day, Sunday, May 10th, 2026. It came out on Friday, May 8th. And Ben gives it 4 stars. So you can average those out to about a 4.5 for us for The Sheep Detectives. Okay, this delightful little movie is hard to describe, okay? It sounds like it'd be really cringe, but it's actually not. It's actually very sweet and very, very funny. I laughed out loud many times. It's kind of a mystery. It's got a lot of comedy. It has some really heartwarming, sweet things to it, especially toward the end of the movie. It's actually a really great movie. It has a lot going for it. I don't actually know what it's rated. My guess would be PG or PG-13. Perfectly good for the family. I think it doesn't have anything really objectionable. Other than like the storyline involves a murder, but nothing gruesome is shown or anything like that. The only other thing I can think of is that at one point you see evidence that people were drinking alcohol. That's literally the only other thing I can think of that would be objectionable. Otherwise, it's very family friendly. You could take the whole family to this movie. I would say older kids though, because really young kids are not going to be able to follow the plot line. This movie actually has a terrific cast. The 2 main actors that you're going to recognize are Hugh Jackman is the main guy. The other one that's a really big name in this movie is Emma Thompson, who plays Hugh Jackman's attorney. And she comes later in the film and she's in it all the way to the end. So those are the 2 main, like you see them. But the voice cast is really, really good. And the voices are the sheep, okay? So Hugh Jackman is a shepherd living in an idyllic part of England, basically. Although they don't really make any attempt to disguise Hugh Jackman's normal Australian accent. So I don't know what's going on there. But it's definitely supposed to be England. Everybody else has a British accent. And Hugh Jackman is a shepherd. He lives in a caravan, or what we in the United States might call a camper, on this land in England outside of this village. And he also has a barn where the sheep sleep at night, and just lots of pasture land where the sheep live a lovely idyllic existence, and he takes care of them. He's a very devoted shepherd. And one of the things that he does is at night, every evening, he reads his sheep mystery novels, okay? So like detective novels. This is what he reads to them at night. He actually reads aloud. They all lay down in front of the caravan and they all lay there and listen to him read these novels. And then you find out that the sheep are actually fairly intelligent, and they actually really enjoy listening to these stories and everything and figuring out who did it and all this stuff. And they have all this argument about like who the killer was in the latest story that they're reading and everything. So that's where I might have lost you. Yes, the sheep, I think it's a combination of real sheep that they filmed and CGI, obviously to get the sheep to do what they want to in certain situations. But this is probably some of the most seamless CGI I've ever seen, because it was really good and it wasn't bothersome at all. It didn't look fake. It didn't look weird or anything like that. It just really genuinely looked like how sheep would look walking around and doing stuff. So there's some things that the sheep do in this, like climbing through windows and stuff like that obviously sheep wouldn't really do. But all of the sheep have in Hugh Jackman, whose name is George, his character's name is George Hardy. All of the sheep have names because he cares very much for his flock and he has named all of the sheep. They all have their own personalities and stuff like this. And there's a lot of actual like interesting background story to each of the sheep too. They're all, you know, pretty significant characters in their own right in this movie. And that's where the voice cast comes in. And a couple of the names that are really key, one is Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who played Elaine on Seinfeld, and she's also in the Marvel movies. She is the main sheep, I would say, whose name is Lily. And I recognized her voice when she was talking. Patrick Stewart was one of the sheep, and Bryan Cranston is one of the sheep. And there's a few others that names you might recognize. And then the rest of the actors that kind of made up like the other characters in the movie, the other human characters. There's another shepherd who has a nearby field that was leasing land from George. There's a butcher in town. There's an innkeeper. There's the police officer who he's pretty key. His name is Tim. There's a couple visitors to the town, the minister from the church. So there's some other significant characters. And the actors, several of them were recognizable to me. Like I know I've seen them before, but I can't think of what the actors' names are. I don't want to give away too much of the plot of the story, but I will just tell you that basically what happens is there is a murder, and the sheep living on George Hardy's farm end up being pretty involved in solving the mystery of the murder, okay? And so they kind of use what they've learned from George, their shepherd, reading them these detective novels every night to help the police officer, who at the beginning, as George describes him, is an idiot. And he really is. He's a complete idiot. But by the end of the movie, he's actually what he is described as in the movie as a hero, because he actually does figure it out with the sheep's help. And he actually ends up being a pretty strong, impressive character by the end of the movie. My favorite things about this movie, one was I really liked the idyllic setting and the whole Britishness of it, because as we've talked about before, I went to university for a time in London. I love everything British, so that was very appealing to me. I loved the cast. They were really, really good. Everybody from the regular human life actors to the voice actors were all excellent. I liked the story. It was kind of like a little bit of mystery, but also with some heartwarming elements to it and some intrigue. My favorite part, though, was the humor. There was so much humor in this, kind of like British style humor, and it was very, very funny. And I found the movie highly entertaining. So I would highly recommend that you go see The Sheep Detectives. It's probably going to go under the radar and people aren't going to know what the heck is this when you see the previews or anything, but it was really well done and I really enjoyed it. So I would recommend it to pretty much anyone. So The Sheep Detectives, it's in theaters now. My son gives it 4 stars. I give it 5 stars, so we'll give it an average rating of 4.5 stars. And I would encourage you to go check it out. Thanks for taking the time to watch this movie review. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.